Hello and welcome. Today I will be making a quick update on the state of Restoration Druid on the ladder and to my PvP guide that I made a couple months ago. There are quite a few things that have changed for us because of patches and because of how they decided to tune and balance our spec. The first thing to note is that the tier set has been nerfed multiple times, the 4-piece bonus. So instead of the Life Bloom having a 30% chance to apply insurance, it's actually 10% only. So that's a very good way of nerfing us, because this tier set has been proven to be really powerful. Because one of the flaws of Restoration Druid was how many globals you needed to spend to apply HOTS. So in this case, this has made our life significantly easier this season, and I hope that they will keep that in mind when we go into season 3, so that we do not fall too much behind with the new season, because this tier set is probably one of the strongest tier set that have ever existed for Restoration Druids, at least as far as I remember. The second thing that changed was Frienzed region. Frienzed region has been updated for us and for Bunkins, I think, because previously this Frienzed region was actually nerfed quite heavily for Restoration Druids for a long time, because Frienzed region actually scales with the mastery healing, but they decided to completely remove this nerf. So we are not nearly as squishy as we were 2 months ago, because it was a 50% flat nerf on Restoration Druids, on the Friends region healing. This meant that we were a lot of squishier compared to now, and that's why I said on the guide that Restoration Druids were actually one of the squishiest healers in the game. Right now, with this Friends region buff, we are quite considerably tankier compared to before, so you don't need to stress as much on positioning as 2 months ago. It's still important, but you have a lot of tools to survive, and Friends region should be part of your rotation if the enemy team is on you, because this healing is free of charge. You just need 10 rage, you don't waste any mana. This also scales with well-honed instincts, because it's the same proc. So this is a double buff in some way for Restoration Druids. After that, we had 2 sets of mana nerfs, because we were not going that easily. They basically only nerfed the mana regeneration in PvP combat, which is a stat that you can check here. So you have 100k mana regen, and when you activate PvP, it's way lower when you activate PvP combat. So this means that right now Master Shapeshifter becomes even more important than before, unless you can reliably Shadow Metal Drink every game, for 3v3 specifically, because in Shuffle, with Ancient of Lore, as I said in the guide, you don't need that much mana regeneration. The games end faster than you go out of mana, because in Tree of Life you don't use any mana. But in 3v3, where the games can last up to 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, Master Shapeshifter becomes really strong and really needed. And instead of me recommending only to Star Surge, which is what I did in the guide, you actually need to be able to hit your enemies somehow without risking too much, in order to farm enough combo points to Maim Stun. Maim Stun is basically a kidney shot, and it's proven to be a really powerful tool. And I cannot stress how important it is for you to use maim stun. It has been proven to be a really powerful tool for us this season, and it's especially more important when we take into consideration the fact that we don't get that much mana regeneration in PvP combat, and when you full combo point maim stun, you get 170k mana back, which is a lot of mana. It's an extreme amount of mana just for a few combo points. So remember that you can get combo points when you dispel, when you utilize the dispel. So if you dispel nothing, you will not gain a combo point. But if you dispel any magic effect and your dispel goes on cooldown, you actually gain the combo point. So that is why when I'm in combat, I have a combo point. Have a combo point weak aura, so that even if I am in human form, I can track how many combo points I have, so that I know when I can go cat form, wild charge into the enemies, and do a full combo point maim stun. Yeah, so these are the two big changes that have occurred since the last patch when I made the guide. The last thing is that Heart of the Wild has been nerfed quite heavily. The important part to check out is the balance part, which is cast time of balance spells reduced by 30% and damage increased by 20%. Why do I say this? It's because this includes Cyclone. Cyclone is a a balance spell. So this has been nerfed by half in PvP combat. So when you try to Cyclone, it's only 15% reduced cast time when you have Heart of the Wild up. So it's not something that I suggest or recommend to pick up anymore. So in my previous guide, I used to recommend picking up Heart of the Wild instead of going for maim stun. So you would go something like this in the previous iteration of the guide. But since Heart of the Wild nerf, and since the fact that you are more of a hybrid damage dealer in terms of what you're doing with the class, because you are Star Surging, and then you go for maim stuns, you don't actually care about circles anymore, because you do hybrid damage. You do some damage from Star Surge and some damage from Rake to farm combo points, and maim stun. So this is not as much value as it used to be. So I completely ignore this part of the tree, and I pick up instead other important things, specifically Rip and Maim Stun. So I sacrifice this part of the build to pick up Maim Stun, and everything else is pretty much unchanged. So when you find yourself that you are being trained a lot, you pick up Pure Sign Vigor, maybe you can drop Symbiotic Relationship as well, and so on. The guide hasn't changed in that regard. It's just that you don't want to pick up a Heart of the Wild anymore. So the last things that I have changed is my understanding of how Ancient of Lore worked, and what embellishments I want to pick up. So in the guide I wanted to recommend the embellishment Titanic Redistribution Beacon, but it turned out that we are regrowthing quite a lot less compared to how much we were regrowthing before the patch. The reason why is because Tree of Life was actually the reason why we were regrowthing a lot, which is one of the main ways with which you were able to apply the embellishment Titanic Redistribution Beacon. You actually do not activate Titanic Redistribution Beacon through Life Bloom or Rejuves or Cenarion Ward. So you were activating Titanic Redistribution Beacon only through regrowths and Swiftmans. But that was enough last patch. But in this patch, It's either through Swiftman's, realistically, or through Blossom Burst. So all this to say that we are back to stat stacking for Restoration Druids. So my updated suggestion for the embellishment, which is not that important but still, is to pick up the Ascendance Dark Moon embellishment for weapons, which could be your main, your two-hand staff, or you could make an offhand pieces. It's up to you. With the Ascendance embellishment, and then you need to pair up a Nerubian embellishment to double its strength. So if you are not familiar with it, you basically apply the embellishment. So what you do here is pick up this optional crafting reagent for embellishments. So you apply Ascendance trait to weapon. And since this is a Nerubian embellishment, you can also apply the other part, which doubles the effect of the Dark Moon Ascendance embellishment itself. So instead of 89 stats stacking, you gain the double that, so it's 178 extra stat. This in turns means that you are gaining a lot more stats compared to the alternatives, because you could also play with this part, which is the woven dusk thread, but the reason why this is inferior is because it's less stat compared to the Dark Moon, and the requirement is actually not that great, because you need to stay above 80% health to activate. So I think that all in all, the Dark Moon weapon is actually, the Dark Moon embellishment is actually superior. And all this is because we, as Restoration Druids, we do not apply Titanic Redistribution Beacon frequently enough with this patch. So with Ancient of Lore and Wildstalker build. The last thing to note is that precisely because of the change in my recommendation for embellishments, which is we don't regrowth that much this patch because of how the class works. Without Tree of Life, you don't get to apply Titanic Redistribution Beacon as much. And this also means that regrowth is not something that you use quite often. So in the guide I recommended to use Harmonious Constitution, but with the knowledge that I have right now, I will recommend to use Bond with Nature. So regrowth is not part of, it's not one of the strongest heals that you will do on yourself if you are being trained. Regrowthing is something that you do whenever you get the chance to cast a regrowth, which means that you are not being trained, because if you have a melee on you, you either want to spam your hots or go barefoot and try to kite away. So regrowthing on yourself is not something that strong unless you are doing an NS. But a Swiftman, a Soul of the Forest NS regrowth is going to be a full lay on hands on you, regardless of which talent you pick. So Bond with Nature is more value for your own self-healing and for your own survival. This will buff Frienzed Regen, it will buff Well-Honed Instincts healing, it will buff all healing on you. So with the fact that we are not running a Tree of Life and we are using Ancient of Lore, and with all things considered, this is changed. I will recommend for you to pick up Bond with Nature over Harmonious Constitution. So I hope this has been useful as an update. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. I wish you all the best of luck for this season and for your Gladiator push, or for your Duelist push, or your Elite push. No matter what your goal is, I hope you have a fantastic season. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.